Have you ever felt the painful sting of rejection from your child, especially as you grow older? Imagine spending decades of your life raising them, making countless sacrifices, and pouring love into their upbringing, only to be met with distance, neglect, or even outright rejection as they mature. It can feel like the ultimate betrayal. But what if I told you that this rejection carries with it an essential lesson about life, relationships, and personal growth? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the complex emotions behind parental rejection and uncover the hard truths that many parents struggle to accept. Rejection, as painful as it is, often serves as valuable feedback, offering us the chance to reflect, grow, and heal old wounds. We'll explore why some children distance themselves from their parents in their later years, and how understanding this can lead to deeper self-awareness and emotional connection. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to view rejection not as a punishment, but as a raw, honest opportunity to examine the dynamics of your relationship. You'll gain insights into why control and obligation rarely foster genuine closeness, and why mutual respect and emotional bonds are key to lasting connections. Whether you're a parent struggling with rejection or someone wanting to better understand this dynamic, this video will help you approach the situation with understanding, humility, and an open heart. So, stick with me as we uncover the painful but enlightening truth about the complex relationship between parents and their children, and learn how you can transform rejection into a chance for growth, healing, and reconciliation. Don't miss out on the valuable insights that could change the way you view your relationships for good. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Rejection, as painful and heartbreaking as it may be, should not be immediately interpreted as a sign that your child is ungrateful or lacking in compassion. It's not necessarily a reflection of your child's character or a direct attack on you as a parent. Rather, it is a deeply revealing mirror of the relationship dynamics that have existed for years, well before the inevitability of old age began to cast its shadow. It forces us to confront one of the hardest and most unsettling questions a parent can face. Did I raise them to want to be close to me, or did I simply assume they would remain by my side because I am their parent? The painful truth is, many of us may find ourselves in the latter camp, believing that the bond of parenthood is automatic, that the love and sacrifices we've poured into our children will guarantee a return in the form of devotion when we are elderly. But this perspective, while natural, can blind us to the deeper truths of the parent-child relationship. Understanding the reality of the shift can change everything. Rather than viewing rejection as an unjust punishment or an affront to everything you've given, it can be reframed as a painful but honest message. Raw, unfiltered feedback. And yes, it hurts. It cuts to the core of our deepest desires and expectations. But within that hurt lies a unique opportunity, a chance to examine the relationship with clear eyes, to acknowledge where things may have gone wrong, and perhaps to begin the difficult but necessary process of healing and reconciliation. Too often, parents fall into the trap of viewing raising a child as an investment. Years of love, sacrifice, effort, and resources poured into the child, with the expectation of a payback in the form of care and support when they grow older. And in some ways, that feels fair. After all, it's the natural cycle of life, right? You raise your child with the hope that they'll care for you when you need it the most. But the cold truth is that life is not a transaction. Life doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on the messy, unpredictable forces of necessity, growth, and personal choices. Children are not bound by an invisible contract to repay their parents' sacrifices. Love is not a ledger to be balanced or a debt to be paid off. Relationships, especially those between parents and children, demand ongoing effort, mutual respect, and understanding. Without these, they cannot withstand the test of time. The realization that children do not owe us anything, even after all the years we've spent nurturing them, is a tough pill to swallow. It challenges everything we've been taught about parenthood and love. Many parents unknowingly, sometimes unknowingly, use guilt, obligation, or a sense of duty to keep their children close, assuming that because they provided for their basic needs, their children will naturally be there to provide care in return. But love does not work that way. Love cannot be demanded. It must be earned through shared experiences, emotional connections, and mutual respect. It cannot simply be expected because of the title of parent. When a child chooses distance, it often speaks volumes about their unmet needs, the emotional scars of their upbringing, and the deep longing for independence. Perhaps they were raised in a home where obedience was valued over expression, where their feelings and desires were brushed aside in favor of what their parents thought was best for them. Maybe they were never truly seen or heard. Maybe their parents, in their well-meaning but misguided attempts to protect them, stifled their individuality and dreams. As they grow into adulthood, they may crave freedom more than obligation. They may yearn for relationships that nourish their souls rather than simply fulfilling a sense of familial duty. It's not about rejecting the parent. It's about seeking something more real, more authentic, more themselves. That's why it's so vital to internalize this painful truth. Life does not guarantee a fair return. Parenthood is not a transaction, and devotion cannot be demanded or expected as a given. If parents want their children to care for them in their later years, they must create relationships based on mutual respect, trust, and emotional intimacy, not based on the assumption that love will simply appear because of the years of sacrifice. Only when we cultivate these deep emotional connections can closeness be a conscious, voluntary choice, not a burden to bear. Rejection from a child is never an impulsive or random act. It is the culmination of years of emotional exchanges, experiences, and interactions. It is the delayed consequence of something that has often been simmering beneath the surface for years, something that was present but unnoticed, something that may have been ignored or misunderstood by the parent. The tragedy is that many parents fail to recognize the signs until it is too late, until the distance between them and their child has grown so wide that it feels impossible to bridge. This is not just a sad reality. It is a hard, often bitter truth that many of us would rather not face. But embracing this truth is necessary, not just for our peace of mind, but for the hope of building stronger, more authentic relationships with our children. Only then can we avoid repeating the cycle of distance and rejection, and instead create a legacy of love, understanding, and true connection. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Children don't simply wake up one morning and decide to sever ties with their parents. This break doesn't happen overnight. It's a long, painful process that slowly builds over time, often starting in the most tender years of childhood. The emotions that lead to such a rupture are not born in a vacuum. They are shaped by how children were treated, how deeply they were understood, and how emotionally safe they felt in their relationship with their parents. When a child grows up feeling controlled, rather than supported, loved, or respected, that emotional scar doesn't magically disappear when they become adults. These feelings of being unheard, overlooked, or simply obligated instead of cherished often quietly fester, simmering beneath the surface. It's a painful truth that many parents may not realize. Children who grew up feeling like they didn't have a voice often find it difficult to re-engage when that silence has stretched on for years. What manifests instead is a longing for space, a desire for emotional distance, and in the most heartbreaking cases, complete detachment. It's not an act of cruelty or rejection but a defense mechanism, a cry for something that was missing for so long. It can be so tempting, so easy, to point fingers at the younger generation, accusing them of selfishness or disloyalty. I've heard it, and I'm sure you have too. How could they abandon their parents? We ask. But in doing so, we ignore a fundamental and painful truth. People don't just walk away from relationships that truly nurture and fill them. If a child distances themselves or rejects their parents in their older years, it often isn't out of malice. It's because, at some point in their life, they felt rejected long before. Perhaps their emotions were dismissed, their struggles trivialized. Maybe their needs were ignored when they needed attention most. They might not have had the words to express these hurts as children, but as they grow older, they find their voice, and with it, the agency to make decisions about the relationships they choose to keep. Rejection, in this light, is not just an abandonment. It's a form of feedback. It's a painful reflection of how the relationship was built, or in some cases, how it was not. While it may feel like an unfair punishment, this rejection carries an important message. It's a painful but necessary opportunity to look back, to take responsibility for the past, and to try to seek understanding. The truth is hard to hear, but the message is clear. Relationships can be repaired, but only if we are willing to confront the real reasons why that distance exists in the first place. Many parents, myself included at times, believe that authority and control are the cornerstones of a child's success. We want them to be disciplined, responsible, and successful. But here's where it gets tricky. While structure, discipline, and guidance are undeniably important, there's a razor-thin line between raising an independent, self-reliant person and forcing them into a mold where they obey out of fear or obligation. The danger of control is that it often replaces respect with resentment. When a child grows up feeling dominated, pressured, or emotionally manipulated, they may comply, at least for a time, but this compliance is rooted in fear, not respect. When they finally find their independence, they will naturally seek to break free from those chains. I can't blame them. And the painful part is that while parents might succeed in enforcing obedience when their children are young, they may find themselves completely unable to sustain that connection as their children mature. Respect, unlike control, cannot be coerced. It is something that has to be earned, built on a foundation of consistent understanding, compassion, and, most importantly, the recognition that children, no matter how young, are individuals with their minds, thoughts, and feelings. I've also seen so many parents who expect gratitude just for fulfilling the basic duties of providing food, shelter, and education. But those are simply the bare minimum of what is expected. Basic responsibilities that do not go beyond the practical. What truly matters, what counts, is whether the child ever felt seen, heard, understood, and encouraged to grow into their person. A child who respects their parent does not feel burdened by them as they get older. They don't resent their presence. They choose to stay close, not out of obligation, but out of love, because they value that relationship. On the other hand, for a child who was raised under the thumb of strict authority, where love and affection were always conditional on obedience, the feeling of liberation when they are finally able to make choices is overwhelming. They may choose to step back, to assert their independence and break free of the bonds that once held them captive. When they finally have the power to choose, they often opt for freedom over obligation. And that, my friends, is the peril of control. It may seem effective when a child is young, but if it's not rooted in mutual respect and genuine emotional connection, it won't survive the test of time. The strongest, most enduring parent-child relationships are not built on control, but on mutual respect, where both sides choose to stay connected because they want to, not because they have to. Rejection is painful, yes, but it is also a form of communication. It is easy to see rejection as a cruel punishment, a betrayal, or a sign of ingratitude. But it's important to remember that rejection is rarely random or without reason. It is the natural response to something real, something often difficult to acknowledge, but something that must be faced if healing, connection, and understanding are to have any chance of flourishing. I believe that if we are open to hearing it, rejection holds the key to understanding ourselves and others. It is a mirror, a reflection of where we've been, what we've done, and what we've failed to do. If we can meet it with compassion and not defensiveness, we might find that, while the pain is undeniable, the healing potential is also there. Instead of reacting with anger, frustration, or a sense of betrayal when faced with rejection, it is crucial to pause and reflect deeply. Ask yourself, what is this rejection truly trying to teach me? We often take our roles as parents for granted, believing that the love, care, and sacrifices we've made for our children will guarantee a lifelong bond. But relationships aren't so simple. They aren't built on automatic guarantees. Every action, every word spoken, every emotional exchange over the years has left an impression, whether positive or negative. These little moments, some of which may have seemed insignificant at the time, accumulate and mold the dynamic between us. They shape how our children feel about us, consciously or subconsciously. When rejection occurs in later years, it is not merely a random act. It's a response to something deeper in the relationship. Something within that dynamic, often unspoken or unacknowledged, has caused the child to believe that distance is necessary. It could be due to overbearing control, an emotional void, unresolved past conflicts, or even neglect, whether intentional or not. It's crucial to understand that this rejection isn't a reflection of selfishness or ingratitude on the part of the child. Rather, it's a form of feedback, an emotional response to years of accumulated experiences, both good and bad. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Instead of reacting defensively, viewing this rejection as feedback offers a profound opportunity for personal growth. It encourages an honest self-assessment of past actions and interactions. Were we truly present for our children emotionally? Were we building a relationship based on love, mutual respect, and trust? Or were we simply assuming that the role of a parent entitled us to their unwavering closeness? The answer to these questions can be painful, but it's through this painful honesty that real healing begins. A parent who listens to this rejection with humility, without immediately pushing it away or denying its validity, has a chance to begin mending the broken bond. It provides the opportunity to sincerely apologize for any mistakes made, to own up to how we may have hurt or failed our children, and to approach them with an open heart rather than with the heavy weight of expectations. Rejection is undeniably painful. It stings deep within, but that pain, if embraced with a willingness to learn, becomes a powerful teacher. It forces us to reflect on the nature of the relationship we've built and opens the door to healing, even if years of distance have come between us. Instead of asking, "Why is my child doing this to me?" which only feeds into self-pity and defensiveness, a more constructive question would be, what does this rejection reveal about my past actions, and how can I take responsibility for my role in this? The answers to this question may be difficult, even heartbreaking to face, but they have the potential to open doors to understanding, to reconciliation, and ultimately, to peace. Even after years of emotional distance, this kind of honest self-examination can bring about profound healing. Rejection in old age, particularly from our children, can feel like a devastating verdict, an irreversible judgment on a lifetime of sacrifice and effort. It's all too easy to slip into bitterness, to feel abandoned and unappreciated, as though we've been betrayed by an ungrateful generation. But even in this moment of profound hurt, there remains a choice. One final opportunity for growth, for deeper understanding, and perhaps for redemption. How we respond to rejection ultimately shapes the future of the relationship. In our most vulnerable moments, we are often tempted to react with anger, to demand explanations, to guilt-trip our children, or to retreat into our wounded pride. Yet, these responses only perpetuate the same hurtful patterns that led to the rejection in the first place. Instead of pushing for reconciliation through forceful demands or blame, a far better approach is to reflect on our past behavior with painful honesty. Pain, though agonizing, is often a signal that something in the relationship needs to change. If a child has distanced themselves, the most valuable question to ask is, what part did I play in this? This question may uncover truths that are hard to bear, but confronting those truths is the first step toward healing. Reconciliation, while not always guaranteed, is always possible. If approached with humility, sincerity, and a willingness to own our mistakes. A parent who demands closeness, forgiveness, or a return to the way things once were without first taking responsibility for their part in the brokenness cannot expect genuine healing to take place. It is through honest self-reflection, owning the pain, and making amends that the true possibility for reconciliation begins. Thank you for taking the time to reflect with us on such an important and emotional topic. We've discussed the power of rejection and how it can be a valuable opportunity for growth, self-reflection, and ultimately, healing in relationships. It's not easy, but it's through honest self-evaluation and humility that we can truly mend what may have been broken. So, what have you learned from today's video? What's one thing that stood out to you that you will bring into your own life moving forward? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share your reflections with us in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us create more meaningful content for you. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next video.